I couldn't resist.
I I'll be honest, I can't even be mad at that. That was well played. That was well played.
Alright, well.
Yep, mic check 1, 2. We are sponsored by One Chat and Watch Control as well. And joining me in the commentary box this evening, it's a three-man booth this evening. We have got myself, we've got our Xtreme commentator, Insane Leader, and the boss himself, Cesar Lopez. Guys, welcome on. How excited are we to get started?
Very excited, personally at least, because most of my podcasting has come primarily around X3 and a little bit of X2. I don't get to usually watch a whole lot of X1 stuff, so I'll finally be able to see live, somewhat in person, what they actually are able to put down when it comes to rubber hitting the road.
Yeah. So Cesar, how excited are you?
I'm really excited. It's this is something really special for me. This is something really special for me because it's it's the baby. It's Xrl's my baby, just growing up and watching it turn one of the best leagues out there. And I'm really excited to be taking part on today's commentary with you guys. Kenzie, 2 times commentator of the season of Xrl, Insane Leader, who was voted during the Commentators Championship as he was the most voted commentator. So it's really good to be here. It's just an honor to be with you guys here, and let's hope everything goes super good today.
Yeah, so here we go, and this is interesting. Is Sasha, Atwi, Sack, Park, Hazel, Joe Pelly, Retro, Zola, Danny, Waddington, JBL, Mo, Waldo, Ultimate, and Alto. Now, interestingly, Waddington has already retired from the section.
Here at Suzuka. Due to how quickly this track narrows up from a slightly banked turn 1, there's a significant amount of risk, especially considering that a lot of drivers don't really have anything to lose. So for the sake of preserving the car, that might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, so we've seen over the last 3 seasons that Waddington has done some fantastic recovery drives. One of them being, of course, his X1 championship winning race at Mexico after he served a qualifying ban and managed to beat Owen Lewis on penalty countback to win the X1 championship.
I remember that Mexico. It was Mexico race. It was very exciting race. It was I remember your comms, Kenzie there. You were screaming
Yeah.
like a crazy man.
Well, that's just my style of commentary. What can I say? Beard Boost fastest so far with a 126.7, Ultimate at 27.4. Beard Boost is our X2 champion. We've got Zach in here as well, our first back-to-back X1 champion. And Insane, just double checking, it was Waldo, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the X3 champion.
Yes, Waldo was the X2 champion, but it was definitely a very interesting championship season. In X3, the driver lineup went through a significant change, a little bit past 25% of the way through the season. That left it looking like it was going to be a fight between the defending champion, Retro Rixie, and Xrl Cargo for the title. However, the two of them kept losing a lot of points during races at Sochi, Circuit of the Americas, Mexico, and find Waldo, who is basically the designated number 2 driver in the Racing Point, basically came out of nowhere and took home maximum or near maximum points, including 5 race wins in a row at the end of the season to lock up the title in the last race. It was a shocking run to the title of one that we hardly ever see in any racing series ever.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kenzie. We were live on X1 and we were hopping into your stream in X3. I don't know if you see the X1 transmission yet, but we were having you also in our stream. We were watching the race. That was really good.
Yeah.
We were testing some production stuff.
Yeah, and judging by how it played out, it certainly paid off because for us long-time F1 fans, nothing excites us more than A, the start of the season, but also B, the championship going down to the wire at the last race of the season. Ultimate retires from the session. He's happy with his time. Path is currently fastest with a 26.4. So what I've got in front of me right now is I've got the lineups as they are at the moment for all 3 of our main divisions for next season, and of course we'll show you guys the calendar for next season, which gets underway next week. Oh my word, season 4 just around the corner. Cannot wait. So I'll quickly go through the lineups just now. We've got for X3 we've got Schuld, Fradders, Whippy, Books, Boothie, Turbo, Snake, Herbie, Smish, Tino, Fritz, Rahul, Jaleb, Jono, Retro Rixie, Asda, and Gusty. Asda and Gusty need to do a couple of connection tests to see if they'll be able to do X3 without much difficulty. X2, we've got Manea, Tamer, Danny, Careless Jackson, Atui, Joe Pelly, Wise, Low, Fiend, Smooth, Zola, Dedgar, Shmee, John, Ty, Wavy, Chudy, Venom, and our X3 champion Waldo, and of course the X1 superstars Ultimate, Sack, Path, JBL, Waddington, Penku, Ledger, Ollie, Remisco, Sasha, Hurricane, Mad, Mon, Jazz, Erdica, Hazel, Wax, CJ, Anderson, and F1 King. Those are your lineups for next season. And when does season 4 start? Next week at Silverstone. We'll get the calendar up very shortly. And interesting. And Zola, interestingly, retiring from the session as well. Looks like he's going to try a last to first.
We have right now the calendar on screen. Insane,
so
if you want to go through it.
Yeah, well, the season's going to start out at the very end of February at Silverstone in Great Britain. Afterwards, they're going to jump to the next continent. They're going to be raining on the streets of Azerbaijan. Afterwards, they'll be raining down at Bahrain. That will be on the 14th of March, while Azerbaijan will be on the 7th of March. They will go to Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Canada on the 21st of March. It will be followed by a 1-week break, which I'm sure some of the drivers will appreciate. Afterwards will be the 4th of April, and they'll be raining in the Netherlands. And I believe that's going to be Zandvoort. 11th of April, there'll be rain on the streets in Australia, the semi-street, semi-permanent racetrack there. Afterwards, they'll be going on the streets of Singapore, which is basically Asia's own Monaco GP. Then they'll go to Catalonia in Spain. That will be on the 25th of April. And then a week after that, they'll be running down in Austria for the Red Bull Ring. Then it will be Belgium, where they'll be running at Spa. That will come on the 9th of May, while Austria will be on the 2nd of May. On the 16th of May, it will be Hungary at the Hungaroring, and then Mexico will be featured on the 23rd of May. On the 30th of May, they'll be running at the highest speed track currently on the Formula 1 calendar. It will be Italy, Monza. Then on the 6th of June, they'll be running at France for their second to last race of the season. Another break week, and the season will wrap up in Brazil. Brazil, a circuit that has long been known for being chaotic. Doesn't matter where on the season it's going to be, so we can see a very interesting event there in all three tiers.
Absolutely, and the special thing about May 23rd is that that's going to be the Xrl Anniversary Weekend. So how are we going to celebrate it? You're going to need to stay tuned to find out for that, because it's been nearly 2 years now since the Xrl was actually created.
Remember when everything started, Kenzie?
Yeah, and here I am, one of the OG commentators that's been there since day one, and of course the birth of It's Race Time as well.
Yeah, the birth of that specific and very famous phrase right now in the Xtreme racing leagues. Insane. We were the first Xtreme Racing League race that was held. It was a 5-driver race. Only 5 drivers, but that was on a pre-season tournament we did before starting the actual championship. And the first race, it was really fun. We had Kenzie at comms, and that was the start of a very good and exciting journey for us all. And now look at how big we are, how organized we are. We're trying to do our best. We're trying to improve every day, and having some amazing commentators join us during our journey is really good, and Insane is a proof of that kind of commentator quality we have right now. I just got the weather report for this race. Qualifying session is going to be clear sky and dry conditions right now. There's going to be a little bit of clouds on 30 minutes right now, but not enough to be some rain. On the race, however, it's going to be cloudy. The weather forecast mentions clear conditions, but dry conditions, but cloudy. But everything can happen.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a few of our XRL stars watching this evening. We've got IPR56. He's one of our commentators. Welcome on this evening. We've got John, one of our drivers. Harry, he used to be my X1 commentary partner before Caesar took over. Turbo says, don't know who to support. Too many good drivers. That's the great thing about the All-Star race. You've got the cream of the crop in regards to the XRL. This race determines who the best of the best is. Now, how the All-Star lineup is actually determined is it's the top 20 drivers from across all 3 of our main divisions, X1, X2, and X3, and they go toe-to-toe at the All-Star race here. And we just saw Smish. He's just come into the session, so we've got so that says we've got our full grid for this evening. There he is. He's just got into the session now. So Zola and Waddington are already out of qualifying. Sack right on the bubble, 29.7. Now, but of course, we've seen before Sack just storming through the field with his strong, consistent race pace. But of course, one of the biggest things he has in his favor is the fact that he's a great all-rounder. He's great in the dry conditions, but when it comes to wet weather racing, he just turns into a completely different animal entirely.
thing I do want to state, though, is that due to the nature of Suzuka, it's going to be extremely hard to actually see drivers make their way up through the field with any serious time. They'll need a lot of strategy and a little bit of luck when it comes to how yellow flags and cautions may or may not play out. Those free extra pit stops midway through the race can make or break a driver's event. We've seen so many times in all three tiers and Dev where a poorly timed yellow flag ends up taking one driver who is dominating out of the event and brings someone who is running mid-pack up near the front. So Suzuka, like you guys said earlier, there's only one DRS zone on the start-finish line straight, which is going to make it even more difficult to actually make a proper on-track overpass. But that just means that when you do see it happen, the stars have really aligned for the best drivers that we have here in today's event.
Yeah, we just got a poll up on the Twitch stream, folks. If you wanna get involved with that, which league do you guys think will win the All-Star race? Will it be X1? Will it be X2? Or will it be X3? We'll get the results for that very shortly. Waddington in this chat saying doesn't want a repeat of season 1 here. Zola don't want Monza. Staying out of turn 1 Spinalas. Yeah, Spinala, a very iconic meme. It's been a very busy week in the world of Formula One. We've had a couple of car launches already. One for AlphaTauri and one for McLaren. Red Bull just announced theirs a couple of days ago, and that'll be at some point in the next few days as well. Now, from the cars that have been revealed so far, McLaren and AlphaTauri, what are your thoughts on those two cars from what we've seen so far?
This will probably be a controversial thing. I come more from the world of American open wheel racing, IndyCar, Camp Car, kart, stuff like that, so I'm not as crazy when it comes to car reveals and car launches. I do like how the new AlphaTauri looks. It reminds me a little bit of the Williams that Montoya was driving in 2003, so I will admit that's kind of nice, but the main things that really interested me were more on the potential long-term effects that we're going to see in Formula One that's dripped out in the news media over the last few weeks. We've recently got confirmation that Indianapolis Motor Speedway is in contact with Formula One for a potential return to the IMS road course in 2023.
Yes!
And then there's also the talks about the engine regulations for Red Bull being solidified that they will continue running Honda power, although they just will not have Honda factory support. So for a little while longer at least, Formula One will still be a 4-engine manufacturer series. I don't know how long that will or will not last. The question about the strength of the Honda's powertrain has been a little bit up in the air for a while, but that could be an interesting way for everything to develop going into the next set of Formula One regs, which will drop in 2022.
Yeah, I say we're definitely going to be very intrigued to see how that all plays out. Lewis Hamilton only signing a 1-year deal with Mercedes.
Interesting, very interesting too. Yeah.
So, which begs, it's a question that I've had. It's a question that I've kept going around in circles on. Could this potentially be Lewis Hamilton's final season in Formula One, given the fact it's only a 1-year deal?
I personally, and this could be a controversial take, a hot take on my end. I think Lewis Hamilton has been really trying to come into his own as a person and an individual. One big thing about racing drivers in the late 20th century, and now we're well into the 21st century, is that you don't just have talent and jump into cars and are able to race. You basically have to be bred from a very, very young age with it. This is not to be a slight against the man. Lewis Hamilton seems to have almost had kind of like a delayed social adjustment to reality because he spent so much of his time as a kid, as a teenager, in his 20s, 30s, focusing just on racing. Now he is actually coming into understanding of who he is as an individual. He's someone who is very, very aware of the world, very, very aware of issues in the world, and I think he may try to leave Formula One after locking up an eighth championship in this upcoming season, and he will go out of his way to be an activist and try to inspire and lead change in the world, and I think he'll leave the days of Formula One behind him. That's not guaranteed, but I'm just saying that's what I see potentially happening from him going forward.
Well, I wouldn't be too surprised if he does end up wrapping up an eighth championship. But who knows? We'll definitely need to stay tuned throughout the season to find out if that does end up happening. I mean, if he does break the record, hats off to him. Greatest driver of this current generation. I mean, his accolades pretty much speak for themselves. Because they, dare I say, modern day Michael Schumacher, if you will.
Yeah, but with one major exception, Hamilton is significantly less dirty on the race circuit and relied a lot more on playing mind games off the track rather than on the track. Schumacher was very much in your face on the race circuit, and we saw numerous times that's how he exerted his dominance. I think a stronger comparison for Schumi would be kind of like a hybridization of the skills we saw in the 80s between Nelson Piquet Sr., Alain Prost, and a little bit of Ayrton Senna. Not so strongly that he's just a modern reincarnation of one of those drivers, but you can see something from all three of them in today's Lewis Hamilton.
That's a very valid point there. So back to the All-Star race for a moment. The drivers that have been knocked out of Q1, Retro Rixie, Sack, Smish, Zola, and Wallington. Zola and Wallington, interestingly, haven't set a time.
They want to stay out of the turn one stuff.
Yeah, because we saw it happen during the season that we saw some turn one incidents. We've got Atwi, Lowe, Cargo, Kellis Jackson, Joe, Danny, JBL, Ultimate, Hazel, Waddle, Sasha, Ollie, Beard Boost, Penku, and Path. Briefly onto Beard Boost for a moment. He had such a dominant season in X2, wrapped up the championship easily with about half a dozen races to spare, easily, and McLaren just dominated the Constructors' Championship, but surprisingly, Beard Boost not in the lineup for next season.
Could make things very interesting for X2 going forward. I had the pleasure of covering a few X2 races beforehand. Beard Boost's level of domination in a race itself was in a quadrant all on his own. It wasn't rare to see him put down times for pole alone that were half a second or more faster than second place, sailing off into turn one well ahead of everyone else. With the dominant driver gone and the seat open all of a sudden, not to mention we have people coming up from X3 who are now showing up in X2, it could make for a very, very frenzied and frantic battle at the top of the grid. Some of the drivers like Chiopelli and Sasha could finally have their breakout moments and start going on their own hopeful championship tears. Biggest problem with that, though, is that it's a truncated season. A lot of races have been cut compared to a normal Formula One season, so it's going to make it a little bit more focused on avoiding mistakes rather than just having general consistency like we normally see in a 20 to 21 race season.
Indeed, I just got word from Zola in the stream chat that Beard Boost is going to be part of season 4, but he's going to be a reserve for X1 as he can't race every week, which is understandable. He has commitments elsewhere, and hats off to him with whatever he's doing. But it's good that Beard Boost is still going to be involved in the XRL in some capacity next season.
Right now on the circuit, we currently are seeing about half of the drivers regain their outlap. The other half are still in the pit lane. And the big thing, I make this comment all the time, one of my favorite things to watch in XRL Formula 1 races, whether it's Dev, X1, X2, X3, the realistic length series, F2, doesn't matter. If you have the option for alternate tires, Q2 is where it all comes down to. You have 15 drivers all trying to get into the top 10, and the top 10 drivers also lock in their tire compound choice. What ends up happening more often than not is over the first half of Q2, no one cares too much about time. Everyone is just there to lock in a tire strategy and a tire compound. Then, in the last 6 minutes or so, the drivers are in the bottom of the grid from about 8th on down to 15th, all start realizing, oh crap, on the medium tires, I'm not fast enough to make it into Q3. They start throwing strategy out the window, they start putting the softs on, it becomes a feeding frenzy at the very bottom of the field to see who will or will not make it in. I think we're going to see the same thing here today, considering that Suzuka is such a technical circuit, very, very focused on both tire conservation and getting clean air. I think the very end of the session is going to be just as chaotic as we see all the time in Xrl Q2 sessions.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got Ollie and Danny on hot laps at the moment. So I'm just riding on board with Danny, see what he can pull out of the bag. He's at Dunlop Curve now, coming up to the Degners. Very easy to take too much curb and just end up in the wall, as I can attest to racing elsewhere. And up to this tight hairpin, slightly wider line than you would normally take. Oh, almost losing the back end there. And I think he's going to be backing out of the lap. No, he's still going full speed ahead. Hopefully it doesn't affect the time too much. Coming up towards Spoon now, about 190 miles an hour. Breaks down to about 130 for the first part. Breaks down to 95 for the second part. And now the long run up to one of the fastest corners on the calendar. 130R. You'll be going flat out there. Probably, there you go, about 195 miles an hour. Now up to the Casio Triangle. That's the official name of the chicane. Just one corner to go, and into the pits he goes. He aborted his lap, which is I can't say I blame him.
And we have right now the results of the poll. 85% of the votes were for X1 was going to be winning today's race. Interesting fact is 52. There were 52 votes just for X1. I believe I personally voted for X3 because I think Fine Waldo can do something here. Something interesting. Yeah.
I was about to say he's about to complete his lap, but he's gone into the pits. It looks like a lot of these guys have just gone for.
And also Cargo, by the way. Cargo can get a good result today here.
Yeah. So a lot of these drivers have gone for excursion laps, if you will. Penku, top of the timesheets at the moment with a 27-1. Of course, Insane brought up the fact top 10 drivers. If you make it into the top 10, the tyres you set your fastest lap on are the tyres you start the race on. So if you're starting on mediums, you're already at a big advantage. But if you're starting on softs, you're going to be at a shorter stint, which means you're going to need to get through as much traffic as possible before your first stop. And that's assuming you don't start on pole.
It's going to be very interesting to see who gets the pole position today.
Jackson just coming through the hairpin out of the two Degner corners. Going on the soft tyres. If he plays his cards right, he might be able to get himself into the top 10 at the expense of going for a shorter first stint.
Something that I find very interesting is that we're already a little bit more than 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes into the session. We still only have what looks to be 2 times on the sheets right now. Drivers are definitely holding back and trying to play their cards properly. And then, like you guys pointed out, we've seen several drivers abort their lap after making mistakes. A lot of the people who would put a lot more of their ego on the line than the average person probably aren't going to be satisfied with anything less than the absolute best. It's the All-Star race. You need to showcase that you deserve to be here. And I think that's probably factoring into some of these drivers' abilities and times that they're setting or not setting thus far.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. One of the biggest stories from the XRL this season was the second half of the X1 season. I mean, the McLaren boys of Parth and Philip Nilsson, they had such a strong start. They were leading the championship for a majority of the season, and then throughout the second half of the season, it was just mistake after mistake, retirement after retirement. The second half just fell apart completely for the McLaren boys, and the Haas boys managed to keep themselves out of trouble. Waddington and Sack managing to take advantage of McLaren's mistakes, and Haas wrapping up both championships at Brazil and Abu Dhabi, with Sack wrapping up the Drivers' Championship after a massive crash from Path. Still trying to fathom how that happened. and of course Haas wrapping up the Constructors' Championship in Abu Dhabi. Zola's just informed us there's going to be a lobby restart after qualifying. So I trust that we're going to have people behind the scenes. They'll be getting the screenshots of the qualification standings so that we can get the grid set up as quickly as possible for the race getting underway. And of course, when it comes to the top 10, we need to make sure they start on the tyres they set their fastest time in Q2 on. Otherwise, we could end up seeing some penalties for them after the race.
One thing that I personally am going to find interesting is with that lobby reset, you won't have to worry about starting on worn tires. You'll still be locked into the same set of tires that you had at the end of Q2, but they won't be worn. They'll basically be fresh. That will give a very, very slight little stepping stool for the drivers who will be choosing to start on these soft tire compounds going into the race. Even if it's only 1 or 2 extra laps, those 1 or 2 extra laps can mean the world on those softs.
Indeed, Waddington in the stream chat just saying Path didn't deserve to lose the title the way he did. Credit where it's due. I mean, he put up such a strong fight right until the end. I mean, I even said it during Brazil and Abu Dhabi. Massive commiserations to him for how it all happened. But he is definitely. I wouldn't be too surprised if he manages to pull out a redemption story and pulls out winning the championship next season. But we'll wait and see how that plays out. We've got about 5 minutes left to go. In the drop zone at the moment is Antwi, Jackson, Danny, Beard Boost, and Waldo. And that's the interesting thing to take into account here. The fact that none of those in the drop zone at the moment have set a lap time.
The interesting thing about that is because we have 5 drivers who still haven't set a lap time, we may not have that traditional feeding frenzy at the end of the race. It's just going to be a race to the bottom for these 5. All of them are just going to be focusing their sight on one driver, Xrl Cargo, to try and leapfrog him. But as I keep seeing you guys flipping through the cars, these guys just keep invalidating their laps or making significant mistakes that invalidate their current lap. One of the things when it comes to Formula 1 qualifying, as it is right now, you can run a very, very light fuel load if you want, and it will give you one really, really fast lap. But if you make a mistake, you are in trouble, and you've not only lost the amount of time it takes to set that lap, you lost the amount of time it takes to do an out lap, the amount of time it takes to do an in lap, the amount of time it takes to refuel. We may see one of these 5 drivers not be able to set a time before this session is up. I'm not saying it will happen, I'm saying it's getting very, very close right now in this race at the bottom.
Indeed, Beard Boost did manage to set a lap time there, but he's only 8th at the moment with a 37.3. Is that going to be enough to get him through into Q3?
Beard Boost is about to. He's on a hot lap right now, so he might. He just did 2. This is his second hot lap in a row, so he will be finishing, and I believe he will be top 5 with this. Remember he's very, very fast. His real pace is X1 pace. Let's hope he finishes this lap with no interference, or he just got faster sector 2.
Yeah, he's just gone through 130R right now.
One thing I'll say about Beard Boost is that I did not vote in that poll that you put up earlier, Lopez, but I personally would have put my money for today's race on Beard Boost in the X2 representation, and I think that we can see quickly here he'll probably get a relatively good qualifying spot, not necessarily the top, but I think he'll have a good enough qualifying spot that he'll be able to work his way up, and utilizing DRS and hopefully a little bit of luck on his end, I think he'll probably end up with the lead at the checkered flags of this race.
Yeah, because we've seen over the 3 seasons that we've had the XRL, that it's not necessarily about you've got some drivers, they may not have the best qualifying pace, but if they have strong, consistent race pace, they could be a contender for a race win on a regular basis.
We've also seen that one of the other big things that factor into XRL is avoiding time penalties. We don't see victories taken away too often because of that, but we very often see significant changes in the grid after the checkers fall due to penalties both awarded by the game and then doled out by the officials for things the game doesn't see. And because of that, we have seen quite a few interesting results and shakeups there. X3's season finale last year at Yas Marina, every single position for all the cars that were on the track ended up getting swapped because of how unbalanced the penalties were across the field. If you only have 3 seconds worth of penalty and someone else is running 15, 20, 18, something like that, the difference is going to end up being quite massive.
Especially with how close the field could possibly be towards the end of the race, especially if you have a late safety car.
Yeah, that would be interesting. A late safety car and time penalties, it's my worst nightmare as a driver.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a couple of things on a more personal front at the moment. I was doing a Saturday league race last night elsewhere, away from the XRL, and I
can't believe you, Kinsey. You cheat on XRL with another league. I thought you were more loyal than that.
Look, if a spot opens up for the XRL on a Saturday night, you can guarantee I'm going to be there racing, ready to win. But I will say this. Last night, I can officially say I am now a DHL Fastest Lap Award winner. I got my first ever Fastest Lap in a league race last night.
Congratulations, man. That was really
All
good.
right, finally. What circuit was it, though? Because if it was just a really small circuit that was like the Bahrain outer layout, that doesn't help a lot.
No, it was actually China. I managed to do a Lando Norris, believe it or not, and get the fastest lap on the last lap of the race.
Oh, nice.
Hey, that's how you do it.
Yeah, I was actually quite a long way behind the pack. I was running fifth at the time, and I thought, you know what? Got a couple of laps to go. I've got nothing to lose, potentially something to gain. Came in, went for soft tires, and then just went scenario 7, boom, and lo and behold, fastest lap. And I legitimately celebrated that as if I'd actually won the damn race.
Yeah. Nice. That's some little victories that we get. It's really good.
Yeah, but rest assured, my time will come when I am legitimately on that top step of the podium. You heard it here first, folks. I'm going to be a race winner one day.
Right now, my focus goes back onto the racetrack. Otwi is not going to set a time, and Fine Waldo is in the middle of a lap right now, but the question is going to be, is it a clean lap, and will it be a lap that will get him in the top 10? He had a purple second sector as he's coming through the triangle down to the last corner to wrap up this lap, and he will be the last driver to set a lap that's not named Ultimate. Ooh. Yes, it is! Waldo, 5th. Outstanding job!
And that, as a result, has just knocked Danny out of qualifying. Danny, Lowe, Jackson, Cargo, and Atwi, they are all out.
And guys, look at the difference between Beerboost and Danny. It was nothing that saved Beerboost out of Q2.
0.03 of a second. That's all that stopped Beard Boost from being knocked out of Q2. The big advantage, though, is that he is going to be starting on the mediums, as is Path, Penku, JBL, Ollie, Sasha, and Beard Boost. Those are the drivers that are all going to be starting on medium tyres. Ultimate, Hazel, Waldo, and Joe Pelly, they are all going to be starting on softs.
So one strategy that can play out when it comes to the way tires wear here, the fact that there's only one DRS zone and the rest of the circuit is extremely narrow, even by European track construction standards, you can say that some parts of these tracks are excessively narrow. If you end up in the lead or second or so, and you have clean air in front of you, as your softs die off, what you can do is basically force the entire field behind you to get trained up. They may be on medium tires, which are faster towards the end of their life compared to the softs. However, if they're caught behind you and they can't get that DRS straight overtake, it could give you some extra artificial positions, on the racetrack. Not necessarily in the race itself, you'll still be losing time to the drivers ahead, but for just trying to defend a higher position, that is a very, very strong thing to go for. It's not Xrl and it's not F1 2020, but in the IndyCar League in Forza Motorsport 7, I was able to take home a victory there by doing that very thing. Worse tires, holding off drivers behind and keeping them basically truly trained behind. It's a very, very viable strategy here at Suzuka.
Talking of which, regarding that IndyCar League, might be a bit of a stretch, but does this IndyCar League host their version of the Indy 500?
It's a defunct series, so it doesn't run anymore, sadly. Yeah. But they did hold one, but
they did.
Yeah,
they did have an Indy 500.
Yeah,
that'd have been so good to see.
Although I will say this, though, problems with the game platform is being run on Forza Motorsport 7. Lobby there can only hold about 24 drivers. The real-life 500 takes 33 plus. Yeah, plus or minus whoever does or doesn't try to qualify. So you will never get a true, authentic experience, not to mention just a lot of other little differences between real life and a game. So it's not... The discrepancy between real life and the game and that is a lot more significant than what you have here at F1. Right now, F1 is in a very fortunate position to have a relatively good series of games based just around it. IndyCar has not had that advantage since 2004, so...
Yeah. So here we go. Top 10 shootout time. Who's going to get pole position for the All-Star race?
Real quickly, I do want to point out, I know it's going to seem ridiculous, but a Ferrari guy, so seeing two Ferraris here in Q3, I don't really care who the drivers aren't in there. If you're in a Ferrari, I'm going to pull for you, so seeing both of them in the lobby right now, absolutely great to see.
Yeah, fair play. So we've just got another poll up, folks. Which league is going to get pole position? Penku, interestingly, the only driver not to be out on track at the moment, but as I say that, he is coming out of the pits. Is that going to impede Sasha's lap in any way? I don't think it is, because Sasha's coming through the Casio triangle. Penku's just coming through turn 1, so Sasha should be okay at the moment. Sasha starting his hot lap. Sorry, Insane, on you go.
No, good, because you were actually taking note of something on the racetrack.
Yeah, I was just about to call Sasha's hot lap coming through the S's now. I say it's a very challenging section of the track, because it's very challenging in more ways than one. It's also known for being very difficult to overtake. Oh, Sasha almost loses it through Dunlop curve, and that's surely gonna he backs out of the lap. It's really unfortunate for him.
Good decision to go ahead and commit to backing out of that lap extremely early, though. That means that he'll cut down a little bit on the wasted time, considering how short Q3 is, 12 minutes, although realistically it's closer to 10 minutes. You want to minimize the amount of wasted time as much as possible. It'll also keep a little bit of wear off of those tires should he need to run that set of softs in the race itself.
Indeed, JBL is coming through Spoon Curve now. Interestingly, he's managing to take that a little bit quicker than some of the others that we've seen in qualifying previously. Coming up towards 130R now. See what he can pull out of the bag. Very smooth through there, flat out 195 miles an hour. Casio triangle. One corner to go. What's the first time going to be? Let's say Sasha, interestingly, a 32.8, but a 27.2 for JBL. Ooh. That's a very respectable lap time. And Joe Pelly out of nowhere. Oh, here we go. Oh, now business starting to pick up. Beard boost, 26.9.
Beard was doing a 26.9. Is really good. That was, I believe, that was Ultimate's time on Q1.
Path coming through the Casio triangle now. Is he going to be able to knock Beard Boost off his perch? Waldo, 800s behind Beard Boost. What's Path going to pull out of the bag? 26-4!
This is where it gets very interesting, folks. There are still 2 drivers now left to set a lap time, Hazel and Pinquo.
No,
Ultimate, meanwhile, 26-3. Thanks for the update on that one, Caesar. How did he pull that one out of the bag?
Nice one. Penku is right now and he's hot lap.
Yeah, he's the only one left to set a lap time for Q3. As it stands, it's going to be an X1 front row with Ultimate and Path. Here comes Penku. What's he going to pull out of the bag? Oh!
Damn, son,
These guys
where
are
you
crazy.
found this?
He's just gone and pulled the rabbit out of the hat! 126, 287!
Jack, whenever, thank you for the subscription, man.
Alright, so now all 10 of our drivers have set a time. Now, Sasha Andre has a significant amount of time that he can improve compared to the rest of the field, but I'm going to be very interested to see what Ollie, Giopelli, and I believe his name is pronounced Mr. Threeson or something like that. I can't properly pronounce that name, sadly, but I'll be interested to see what they can do going forward. They're already on the soft tire compounds. They've already set a lap. There's usually not a whole lot of extra time that you can pick up. They're looking at being anywhere from half a second to a second and some change off the pole position. They need to do something magical if they actually want to contend for the pole here in these dwindling moments of qualifying.
Yeah, as I think the guy you're having trouble pronouncing the gamer tag on, we just call him JBLG because it's easier for him and it's easier for us in the commentary box as well.
Okay.
But still, Penku 26-2. How did he pull that one out of that?
That's crazy.
Well, I will say this, Pinko is in one of the Ferraris. If he was able to get any sort of DRS, not necessarily advancements, but slipstream from the other Ferrari on the racetrack, that little bit in the straights can do massive amounts of plus. Not to mention just getting out of the triangle with really, really good traction and straight line speed. That alone you can gain chunks of time from. Sometimes the way to set up the best lap isn't in that lap itself, but it's what you did in the moments leading up to it.
Indeed, we got yellow flags in sector 2 as one of the Haas drivers. That's Ollie. But Sasha on an out lap. Oh boy, 5 minutes to go. This is gonna be interesting. Who is gonna get that pole position? And hang on a second. Oh, that explains the yellow flags for Ollie. He's only gone and run out of fuel.
Oh, Ali, that's out of fuel.
Yeah, he's run out of fuel. He's currently fourth at the moment with a 26-7, but luckily thankfully he is gonna have time to come in, get a fresh set of boots on, and go for one last lap to try and knock Penku off his perch. But at time at 26-2 though, that's gonna be interesting to see how that pans out.
I want to let you guys know we're going to be having a giveaway today. We're going to be doing a giveaway of a Xtreme Racing League t-shirt. It's going to be an Xrl t-shirt with your gamer tag on it. The giveaway is going to be held at the end of lap 10, and we are going to be doing it via the Discord server. So pay attention to the stream, and pay attention to the Discord server.
Indeed,
We're going
Sasha.
to be doing it at lap 10.
Right, roger that. So there we go. So Sasha coming through the S's now, up to Dunlop curve. So he's going to need to pull something out of the bag here. I think what he's done is he's managed to get himself fueled up for a couple of laps at least. IPR saying, "Ooh, I could get 2 t-shirts," because yeah, it's because a little bit behind the scenes, folks, because what's happened is Caesar, being the generous man that he is, and also for being such an awesome boss, he has decided to give all the commentators an XRL shirt as well.
Yeah, I'll comment to start getting one. It's just a way to say thank you very much for your hard work and being here every weekend.
I obviously need to get on board with this. I was aware that was going on. I didn't know it had started yet, so I need to get involved with this. I will admit I run out of closet space a little bit because I absolutely love collecting T-shirts. So I need to free up a little bit of space and go get some more.
Well, I've already got an XRL shirt on but that was from getting one during season 3. Sasha, meanwhile, he goes fourth with a 126.7.
Watching this AlphaTauri right now as he's coming out of the S's. That car seems to be right on the very, very nice edge. I'm really, really concerned if he's actually going to be able to keep that thing properly under control going through 130R, considering how wicked the back of that car looked.
Yeah, absolutely, and not just that, Ultimate is almost a couple of tenths up, heading up towards Spoon. What's he gonna pull out of the bag here? There's no doubt he's gonna knock Penku off his perch. And of course, one thing to take into account is that if he wants to, he can go for another lap. And Ultimate, he's actually lost a bit of time through that second sector.
It's not going to be enough for him to get a pole position.
So who knows?
He's staying out though.
26.2 to beat. 26.1.
Nope, he got it. It was right there, putting the power down out of the triangle. That's where you're able to get that extra bit of time. A lot of people think of Suzuka as a track where all the focus is on the flowing corners and downforce. Being able to properly apply the traction coming out of that chicane is extremely, extremely pivotal, though.
Now look at this part of the end of his lap. He has no ERS. He has no energy.
That is interesting. And
so he got pole position with no ERS at the end of the sector 3.
Now let's just put it this way: ERS management is one of the things that has helped some of these drivers be on pole position on a consistent basis. And JBL's lost. Oh my god! JBL almost took out his teammate. Oh, that was close.
He was right there on the side of just off the racing line. That's a little bit nutty, but as a driver, you just kind of have to put your head down and keep going and, kind of put that out of your mind. Unless you're Jackie Stewart, in which case you put it out of your mind until the race is over and then say something about it.
Interesting mindset to go for. Path coming through the hairpin right now.
This is one guy that can steal that pole position from Ultimate.
Yeah. Unless Penku can somehow knock it out of the park. There they go. Check
Ollie's moved up just a little bit now. So Ollie has fit his final lap, his best that he could start in will be 4th.
And Ultimate in the pits. Ultimate is in the pits, so he's not going to be improving on his lap time. Path coming to the Casio triangle now. Bit of a lock up there.
Up to 5th.
So let's see what he's got. Path's got a 26. Wants to beat 25.
There you are. To the top.
25.9.
We still have a few more drivers left on the circuit, though. Waldo's finished his lap.
Penku's invalidated his lap, so it's going to be Path on pole.
Well, there's still one driver, Joe Pelly, running on the back, but he looks to be a little bit slow there. I don't think he's going to be able to improve. So there you are.
And no wonder Joe Pelly's run out of fuel as well.
Amazing lap from Path.
Unbelievable. Path right to the end, steals pole position from Ultimate. If this is a sign of things to come from Season 4, Path and Ultimate battling for the championship, oh yes, please.
Remember, I believe, who is going to be the Ultimate's teammate for next season?
Well, like I said, we've got the lineups for. We've got the lineups for. So we've got the lineups for next season, but the thing to take into account is the fact that we don't know what teams they're going to be driving for. So anyway, here we go. Here's your top 10 for qualifying. You got Path on pole, Ultimate in second, Penku third, Ollie, Beard Boost, Sasha, Hazel, Waldo, Joe Pelly, and JBL. That is your top 10.
Apparently, I'm just checking the Discord real quickly from Zola. Apparently, Ollie's car was glitching through other cars and through the floor, so that's one of the reasons why they're doing a lobby reset. Seems like the server is kind of going a little bit wonky today. So like you said earlier, if you weren't with us while we were in Q2 and talking about it, because we're going to be going into a lobby reset for the race, the drivers on soft tires who are starting near the front, we're basically starting everywhere, will be on fresh softs, so they'll be able to get an extra lap or two out of them going forward.
Indeed. Oh, and there we go. There's the invite to get. There's the invite to go into the new lobby, folks.
We're going to be having a lobby restart, so
So I think that is. So I think that is probably going to be a perfect opportunity for us to maybe get a word from our sponsors, Caesar.
yeah, just first, we're going to be starting the first prediction of the day. Is there going to be a safety car in lap 1? Yes or no? Guys, remember you can vote here and win extreme points. And those extreme points, you can redeem them for merch from our sponsors and from Xrl merch.
Yeah, and that XRL merch is going to be things including an ANS 3D track, an XRL mug, and of course, an XRL shirt.
Yeah, guys, remember, vote, put your points in. Remember, here it's like a betting game, so let's see who wins. Meanwhile, let's go for a message from our sponsors.
Are you looking for a more realistic F1 feel in your sim racing? ANSI 3D is the solution for you. ANSI 3D is a 3D printing company based in the United States. We sell F1 style wheels for Logitech G29, G920, and the G923 wheel set with all wheels including high quality real suede fabric on the handles for maximum comfort. All wheels can be fully customized by picking your own colors for the handles and buttons. Also, you get to select a free logo of your choice to be printed on your wheel. We also have all Formula One 3D printed tracks available for sale on our website. For more information or to place your order now, log on to our website at www.ansi3d.com. That's ANSE3D.com. Don't delay, check us out today.
And I want to remind you guys that we also have Clutch Control as one of our sponsors. Clutch Control are precision grips. They're grips for the thumbsticks on the controller for Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch. You're going to be these are very helpful. Are going to be very helpful for the pad drivers, for the drivers that participate in our league with their controllers. Remember, we have controller drivers and we have also on wheel drivers. I believe, Kenzie, you are one of the pad drivers, right?
Indeed, I am. Yes, and of course, there's a discount code that gets applied straight into checkout as well. Xtreme 10, and you get yourself a discount on your grips for your pads as well.
Yeah, I'm saying, are you a controller driver or a wheel driver?
I'm a controller driver. I have a wheel that a friend lent to me, and the reason he must have lent it to me is because it doesn't properly work. So I'm still a controller driver right now. So.
Oh, come on!
Okay, guys, we are right now on a technical break because of the lobby restart.
On my screen it's and another one of our sponsors as well is our friends over at CD Keys, where you can get digital copies of some of your favorite games, and of course the DLC as well. I'm currently in the daily deals section on the website right now, folks, and the top 5 daily deals for today are a PC port of GTA 5 Premium Online Edition, currently at $6.99, 86% off. 70% off a triple bundle of EA Star Wars games. That is Star Wars Squadrons, Jedi Fallen Order, and Battlefront 2. That is available on Xbox One, and that is for and it is a UK code, so that's for our UK viewers as well. Something else for our UK viewers as well is FIFA 21, 73% off right now for Xbox One and Xbox Series X. And I say, do we have any Dark Souls fans? Because we've got 80. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. We have Dark Souls and Dark Souls 3 for. Oh, this is in Mexican pesos. Wait, I'm going to put it on US dollars.
So that's in US dollars. I've got it in there. I've got it in pounds sterling. $6.99 on. That's at number 2. 86% off a PC port of. So there you go. That's on. There we are on screen right now. That is your daily deals. And of course, number one, an expansion pack for The Sims 4, and that being the Island Living expansion pack, and some of the other.
Oh, look at this sale. Cyberpunk 2077. It's 62%. It's only £18. It's really good deal.
Ah, yes, for No Man's Sky, and we've also got some. We've also got the We've got the Sims 4 Seasons expansion pack, 62% off, $12.99, and fans of survival horror are going to be happy about this one. 75% off the Resident Evil 2 remake on PC. I say that's just some of the daily deals that we've got right now. CDKeys.com if you want to get some of your favorite PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo games at a very at a discounted price. So there we go. We are about. So I think we're just about to head back to trackside now, because we are about to get underway for the race.
Thank God, I thought I was going to have to set an alarm to bring you guys back to reality before the race started. You seem really deep into shopping there.
Well, we had time on our hands. We thought might as well fill the time with talking about some of our sponsors.
Guys, I want to remind you about the predictions right now. Remember to fill on your predictions. We're going to be having a prediction, and people can win points.
Alright, about to load the circuit up right now. Excuse me, one thing of note, due to some technical issues with Formula 1 2020, Xrl early on in this season that's just wrapped up, decided to do away with a pace lap. It's just literally you go right off the line with the cold tires and everything that entails, which can make for some very, very, very interesting and frustrating starts for some drivers. And that will be one of the factors you'll have to be aware of as they dive into Turn 1. It's not like real-life Formula 1 where you get a grid lap to try and put a little bit of artificial heat in those tires. You're going to be bone stock cold here.
Yeah.
Bless you.
So,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. So while we're waiting for everyone to. So we're getting everybody just making sure that they get their setups back on their cars, making sure those in the top 10 especially, that they're starting on the tires that they set their fastest lap on in Q2. Everyone else, from Danny down to Waddington, they're going to have free choice of tires as well. Jono supporting Retro Rixie this evening. So let's quickly go through the grid as we get ready for the race. We've got so there we go. We've got 4 minutes before the. So we've got 4 minutes before we get started with the race. So we've got Path on pole, Ultimate in second, Penku third, Ollie fourth. Then you've got Beard Boost and Sasha. So you've got 5 X1 drivers in the top 6 positions on the grid. I mean, that just shows the crop of talent we have for the X1 division. Hazel, Waldo, Joe Pelly, and JBL rounding up the top 10. And then the rest of the grid, you got Danny, Lowe, Jackson, Cargo, Atoi, Retro Rixie, Sack, our X1 champion, Smish, Zola, and Waddington. So that's how the grid shapes up.
Guys, remember
outside
to,
the top.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Remember to vote.
Yep.
The prediction is about to finish. Make sure you put your votes in and bet your points so you can win more and more points. Okay, continue, kids.
It's
Absolutely,
basically legal gambling with non-existent money, so it's a good way to get that kick without hurting your actual bank account.
That is very true. Yes, very, very true. So here we go. We've got Waddington, Zola, Smish, Retro Rixie, Jackson, and Lowe that are starting on the medium tires outside the top 10, and everyone else outside the top 10. Danny, Cargo, Atwi, and Sack all starting on the softs. There are 2 minutes to go before we get the race underway. Now, it is a real shame that we're not going to have Japan on the calendar for the next season, but at least we've got it here for the All-Star race.
I'm just gonna say, no Japan and no Monaco. It doesn't quite feel like an actual Formula One calendar. At least you guys were clever enough to keep Brazil and Italy on. But and at least Montreal's still there. But no Japan and no Monaco really seems like a disservice.
Yeah. Well, Brazil was always going to be staying on the calendar regardless, and the race I was commentating. As a Circuit of the Americas race, I was commentating with Zola that evening. He confirmed that Brazil was going to be the final race of the season that evening.
I do want to ask real quickly, do you think when the next F1 game drops, 2021, do you think we're going to have some of the circuits added that have been added to the schedule this season and the last Formula One season that were added because of the whole cheese touch crisis, as I like to call it? Primarily circuit down in Portugal, our addition back to the Nürburgring GP, or things like that. Do you think we'll actually see those tracks properly represented in-game in the next game?
I think so. I think so because they're in the calendar right now, in the new calendar.
Yeah, Portimao especially that has filled in the gap that was left by Vietnam. So Portimao's definitely going to be there. So I'm going to be very intrigued to see how they do the Saudi Arabia track. I mean, I'm not sure how that track is going to look. So here we go, and Zola has just given us the all clear to ready up. You guys know what time it is.
Interesting thing, IPR, my fellow commentator on DevLeague, he voted for Jess in the safety car. If he wins, he's going to be rich. He's going to be getting a lot of points. He was the only guy that voted for the yes.
Oh, for yes to the first lap safety car. It's a big risk. It could pay off. Nevertheless, here we go.
5 lights. And it's lights out, and away we go here at Suzuka. Right the path and Ultimate are having a direct drag race down the straightaway. Already 3 wide for a third position. Behind them, Path is falling line behind Ultimate. A little bit of contact. The Ferrari's been knocked to the side. Driving out. Might be Tracy control, but has bottled up the field behind them as they're coming through the back half of the S's. Now they're going to come out of the back half, the first half of the circuit, around this long, sweeping left-hand bend. Everyone's pretty much filed out into a single file line until you get outside the top 10 right now.
Ultimate crucially takes the lead from Path as we head towards the hairpin. Beard Boost, what a start he's had. He's now up into third. Penku in fourth at the moment. And Waddington, what a start he's had. He's managed to get up to 15th place. Zola more or less staying where he is. Waddington's just got another position, got past Retro Rixie, heading up to Spoon Cove. Ultimate already starting to pull away. But here comes Waddington. He's not going to do a twofer, surely. Surely not going to do a twofer, but Danny shuts the door on him. Going to have to work harder than that, sonny boy. Oh my goodness, and what a start that is. And Waddington, but here we go. He's going to, Waddington, oh, here we go. He's going to try it. He's going to try and overtake him. What's Danny out? This is going to be brave. And Danny yields. Waddington, another position. And
oh no! Right in front of the field in the chicane.
Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. The way they were driving, they saw no points on the line, nothing but ego on the line. You might as well go for it. I'm honestly shocked we didn't have an instant like that earlier in the lap.
Yeah, so running
Let's go on and watch it again.
So there we go. Running order at the end of lap 1. Ultimate leads. Path second. Beard Boost third. Penku fourth. Ollie fifth. Thatcher sixth. Waldo seventh. Hazel eighth. JBL ninth. And Lowe rounding up the top 10.
We're watching the replay.
Yeah, looking back at the replay, the two drivers made a little bit of contact coming through 130R, and the Alfa Romeo had a much better run on the inside. However, he was still focused on cleaning up that battle. He locked up the brakes and went right into the Williams ahead of him. Both of them went around. The damage on both of those cars are very minimal. They should be able to continue. However, it is still going to be a massive detriment to their performance in today's race.
Absolutely, yeah. So, big...
No safety car. We're still green.
We had a couple of yellow flags. There was no safety car. And the winners and losers off the start. Retro Rixie up 4 places. Sack up 3. And everybody else up or down 1 or 2 positions. But the biggest loser off the start, Cargo, losing a massive 6 places off the start.
I do want to point out right now that already in the top 3, we're seeing massive gaps form already, 2-second plus gaps amongst the top 3 drivers. That means that all 3 of them are placed outside of each other's DRS zones. They're going to have to maximize both their strategy and hopefully stay away from lap traffic as much as possible so they can keep clean air on their tires as long as they can. Extending the life of the tires is extremely crucial here at Suzuka.
Indeed, we are on to lap 3 now. DRS is enabled, but of course they will be able to use it down the main straight itself. Ultimate already has a 2-second lead over Path. Penku, meanwhile, he is about half a second behind Beard Boost in the battle for 3rd place. But of course, like Insane said, there's no points on the line tonight. It's just the battle of division supremacy, and at the moment, it looks like it's going to be X1 that take the win, with the highest X2 driver being Beard Boost.
Oh, and the Ferrari
third.
just went around. That's Waldo coming right onto the back straightaway, and he spins. He's still on the racing side, but he's going to pull off the circuit as quickly as he can. Problem is, now the car is facing backward, and he runs the risk of the game disqualifying him if he runs backwards for too long, trying to get that Ferrari pointing the right direction.
An absolute nightmare, and there it is! There's the disqualification for our X3 champion! Oh no, that is the last thing he needed! Our X3 champion disqualified through no fault of his own, just a bit too much power through the exit of Spoon, and that's it, his race is done.
What an absolute travesty and a heartbreak for him. Although he wasn't running super high up in the order, being able to run amongst the other drivers that you're going to be fighting with going into the next season, and having that experience come short is really, really hard. We're going to go ahead and try and invite him into the party, see what he has to say about what happened in that race, in that event, though, if he's willing to join the party.
That is really really unfortunate. Penku still battling with Beard Boost for third place, and then they've got a small DRS train behind them. They've got Ollie, Sasha, and Hazel all behind them at the moment. Third down to seventh. We've got a five-car DRS, five-car train, all within DRS range of each other. Beardboo's getting a very good run out of Spoon Curve, but I think Penku's managed to get a better run, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make any sort of impact heading up to 130R.
Big thing about 130R, this circuit in general, but especially 130R, it's not really gone through a lot of changes or alterations since its inception onto the Formula 1 calendar. That means that 130R, which used to be a circuit that tested the limits of both drivers and car design and builders, now at this point, oh, that was a very, very difficult overtake there. That was a little bit more extreme than I like. In fact, it looks like the McLaren man just knocked the Tari out off of the racing line into the dirt just a bit there, coming onto the straightaway. That's a little bit dirtier than I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, I say it's. I mean, yes. Like I was saying earlier, I say division supremacy on the line here. But of course, all gloves are off. This is just for racing. Zach is on the verge of the top 10 at the moment. He started, bearing in mind, in 17th place. JBL, first time penalty of the day. Here's the replay. That was on the Xrl 130R. Retro Rixie, a wider line than normal. And then Zach braking a lot later than Retro. And almost banging wheels effectively. And Danny saying I want a piece of the action as well.
We have yellows. It's cargo?
Oh,
yeah,
dear.
Cargo's that Williams seems to be abnormally slow now going through the S's. I can't tell if there's significant damage on the car, or if there's something else internally wrong with it.
It doesn't look like he has any front wing damage at the moment, but I say he is a long way behind. He's about 20 seconds behind the nearest car, which is Waddington, who's behind his Alfa Romeo teammate for this evening, Smish. But oh, hang on, speaking of which, got to try to 130R. Oh, that's brave. Inside of 130R. They're still side by side, heading up to Casio Triangle. Smish has to yield, and Waddington gets the position.
For those of you in the comment section who are curious what happened to Waldo about 3 laps ago, Waldo put the power down the Ferrari a little bit too aggressively, coming onto the back straightaway, and ended up looping the car around. He was pointing backwards on the racetrack, on the racing line, so he pulled it off the circuit as cleanly as you can. And after the field went by, he tried turning the car back the proper way, and the game disqualified him for driving in the wrong direction. Which, we know it wasn't what's happened, but it was just a game problem that took him out of the race. He should still be on the track, but, you know, game has other ideas in mind.
Yeah, so it is really unfortunate that he got disqualified for that. But what else can you do? But he'll be looking to dust himself down and keep himself as focused as possible heading into the start of next season. Path, meanwhile, he is within DRS range of Ultimate. I think those soft tires are going to start to fade away at some point in the next few laps, and Path does indeed have the DRS, but I think Ultimate doesn't have as much ERS as he would like. But Path's not able to make any sort of impact, so oh, hang on, look at this, nearly 2-3 wide heading into turn 1. Ollie ahead of Sasha, and Penku trying to get ahead of Sasha, but Sasha shutting the door on him.
Trying to cut their way up to the field. That was a nice camera angle on the McLaren. I wish we saw that a little bit more often in real life F1.
Yeah. It's I'd say the battle for the lead definitely starting to intensify, because Path is now half a second behind Ultimate. Path has started to close the gap on Ultimate, interestingly. This will be interesting to see how they approach 130R. Path is closing that gap, heading through Spoon now.
And this is very interesting because Ultimate is in the soft tire and Pat is on the medium tire.
But
Yeah,
the
of
big
course.
thing is, if Ultimate can just put a better run coming out of the triangle chicane onto the front straightaway, a good enough run that negates the DRS advantage, he can artificially hold the lead for a longer period of time, and by keeping Path behind him, he'll force Path to put extra wear on the tires. A big element in Formula One racing basically since the 70s, but it seems to exponentially become more powerful with about every 5 years and new regs that come. Running behind someone else in their dirty air, your front wing is going to be less effective. That means that during turn-in, your tires have to do significantly more of the work. You're going to be putting a lot more wear on the tires. Running 5 laps in dirty air behind someone else is much worse than running 6 laps in clean air without anyone in front of you. So there is a potential strategy that Ultimate can use to try and keep that driver behind him.
And he's certainly doing that, certainly using that to his advantage. And you were saying earlier during qualifying, saying that Ultimate could very well bunch the field up. Ultimate doing very well to keep Path behind him as long as possible, and that could very well allow this gaggle of cars to get to catch up with them. Zola, meanwhile, into the pits. 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It looks like it's going to be a front wing change, and indeed it is. Goes in for a set of softs. Not what he would have wanted. He had an incident, I believe, at the Degner corners. Path, meanwhile,
Penko
he's
wants
right.
a piece of Sasha.
Yeah, so we've got that going ahead, but also we've got Ultimate trying to keep Path behind it. Oh, Path a little bit twitchy out of the last
Oh, look
corner.
at that dive by Pinkwell, nearly runs right into that Mercedes ahead of him, and now they're all going to be in a little DRS train with each other going down the front straightaway here. But because the Ferrari made the lunge on the Mercedes did not get a very good run putting the power down. That means that for now, they're going to stay in that order on the start of this next lap.
Yes, it's, I say, definitely starting to pick up here. Sack, meanwhile, he's carving his way through the field. He's already up into 9th place, and that race pace is definitely starting to come into play here. That race pace definitely paying dividends for Sack. He started 17th, and he's now up into 9th place. Here's the replay of what happened with Penku, Sasha, and Ollie. Penku almost into the back of Sasha, heading into 130R. A very, very late lunge into the Casio triangle, and had to yield. He had a big lock up there, and Sasha breathing a huge sigh of relief as a result.
So at this point, we're just a little bit calmer here in the booth, at least give us a chance to regain our breath. I'll say this much. Everyone on track is definitely trying their best to see if we can take up all the oxygen in the broadcasting booth. I think they forgot that we all are in different countries right now.
One of us is in Mexico, one's in the UK, and one is in the US. But here we go! Here comes Path! This for the lead! How's about that?
Oh, crossover and contact! Wheel-to-wheel contact! They're still side-by-side now as they come down to turn number 3 into the S section, and it looks like the Alpha is not going to back out! And then Renault goes right on the outside wall! And that's going to be the end of the race for Path! And that's a full course safety car, so the entire field is now going to end up bunched up behind the Alpha, not the AlphaTauri, the Renault here!
Let's go and reverse the replay. Let's go.
Unbelievable! What on earth happened there?
Well, you see right there, Renault made a really, really deep dive into turn 1. The AlphaTauri made a crossover, and they were neck and neck. Then as they started going into the S's session, this is one of the narrowest circuits on the track. They made contact. It was just enough to make the Renault lose proper traction with the course after making contact with the AlphaTauri, and the Renault had nowhere to go. It was absolutely horrible. He just went right into the outside wall. There's nothing you can do in this kind of scenario. When that contact happens in a high-speed car like that and the downforce is negatively affected, you're just along for the ride. It's honestly a very, very extreme hit that he took there.
Yeah, and not the best thing in the world to be bringing up, but I can only imagine Path would have been having major flashbacks to Brazil. That is really unfortunate. Ultimate did go for the switchback. I mean, that just shows how. See, here's the replay again. Path, a very late lunge into turn 1, and then there's Ultimate going for the switchback. And my goodness me, I say they're still side by side, heading through turn 3. Just a little contact there, and boom! That's all it takes.
And guys, I wanted to let you know the Xrl t-shirt giveaway is right now in the Discord server in the announcements part. In order to participate, only thing you need to do is thumbs up the post on the Discord server. Everyone can participate, everyone except me.
And it's all kicking off in the pits. Everyone has come in for a fresh set of boots. And has that allowed anybody to benefit from the pit stop? I don't think it has, but
well, I'll say this much: the drivers who are going to run a single stop, soft to medium strategy, this is going to be a good time. The softs are starting to drop off now. We're looking at what seems to be a 27 lap race, so you're looking at about 16 laps left in the event. You can go ahead, throw on the mediums, and make the mediums last. Anyone who started on the softs, this yellow came at the perfect time for you.
And remember, this race is not points, but you can also get time penalties for the race. So this incident can affect Ultimate at the end of the race when it's towards the side the penalties if there is one.
Make a good point. I also do want to go ahead and make some note. Beard Boost is now up there in the second position. This is about where I anticipated he will be if he can get a good DRS run, or if he's able to capitalize on a mistake from Ultimate ahead. I do think Beard Boost has a serious shot of taking home this victory. Like I was saying back in qualifying.
Yeah.
But
fingers crossed. Let me be a prophet just for this race. Let me not seem like I'm talking out of my rear end.
But of course, the crucial thing to take into account is Ultimate went on to mediums, Beard Boost went on to hard. Now the mediums, they are gonna. And hang on, what's happened to Ultimate? Oh no, Ultimate! Oh no, what's happened to Ultimate? I think he's got a gearbox issue.
It's either a gearbox issue or some sort of connectivity, or maybe he's willingly, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a thing in this series, but I know in other leagues this will happen. He may see himself as at fault for the incident. He may have willingly pulled off the track and dropped to the back to hopefully avoid a penalty being handed to him later after the race.
Yeah, it can probably be that.
If that is the case, I mean, massive thumbs up to him for that show of sportsmanship.
Oh yeah, we have confirmation from Sola in the chat that he's giving reputations because of the hit to Path.
Hats off to your Ultimate. A great show of sportsmanship there. I say it's very rare. I say very rare that we actually see a show of sportsmanship on the track. But I say massive respect to him for that one.
Well, I'll say this a little bit on the darker mindset. It's not necessarily a show of sportsmanship. There's an entire championship coming up. If the stewards decide to rule very roughly against him, considering that neither driver laying off going into a circuit where a corner on a circuit where you really can't go side by side at, he ran the risk of potentially serving penalties right at the start going into the next event. I think he was thinking more of the upcoming season more than anything else.
That is a very valid point there. So we're on to lap 12.
And now the prophet insane leader, Beerbus and P1 with the hard tires and Ollie just behind him with the same set. This can probably be it. This can probably be.
Oh, what's happened to Warrington? Sorry to cut in there. What happened to Warrington there? I think he had a spin at the hairpin out of the two Degners, and he's lost a few places as a result.
Oh, and Zola saying Ultimate and Pat are teammates on X1, so will this affect the...
Oh boy, is that going to affect the partnership heading into next season?
Safety car in his lap, guys.
So here we go. And what? What just happened?
Now someone else just dropped out.
Exact.
Who is that?
How did he manage that?
I'm not sure.
What happened to Zach?
Did he just did a
I
cross?
didn't see him. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see where he was on the track. It's almost like the car just vanished. They're coming down to the green right now, and all of a sudden we've gone from a 19-car field to only a 17-car field, and the grid has been shaken up significantly. This is going to be Ollie's best chance to make a move against Beard Boost right here, though. As they get to the green, it looks like our top two drivers are going to get away at roughly the same pace coming across the line.
Yeah, we're underway.
Oh, that's a good shot.
Yeah.
We're underway once again. It's I say that's a massive shake-up that we've seen. Waldo disqualified, Path with a huge crash, and then Sack somehow retiring under the safety car. Beggars believe how that happened. But nevertheless, we're down to 17 cars. Beard Boost leads at the moment. Ollie second, Sasha third, Penku fourth, Hazel fifth, JBL in sixth, Joe in seventh, Low eighth, Danny ninth, and Retro Rixie rounding up the top 10.
I want to say very good job on Retro Rixie. Right now, he's pretty much the primary representation for X3 here, already bringing them up into the top 10, which would be a points-paying position if it was a normal race. So absolutely outstanding job by a former X3 title holder and one of the drivers who brought his team to the Manufacturers Championship in X3 this season. And one of the Red Bulls just went off there farther back in the field, going into the Spoon Complex. It looks like he's merged back onto the racetrack, but that's going to significantly hamper his time.
Yeah, that was Careless Jackson. He's down to 14th place at the moment. But so we've got a few drivers that have time penalties. We'll see how that shapes up later on. Atwi trying to get ahead of Jackson into the Casio Triangle. Ultimate, meanwhile, is carving his way through the field. He was effectively at the back. He's now back up into 9th place. Those mediums, don't know what he's done to them, but somehow they've all, the mediums have already come alive. And talking of mediums, Hazel has managed to get himself up into 4th place.
They're side by side
the
ahead. They just die out side by side. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but those two drivers, it was Pinquo and Gail Ben. And there's contact, and now the AlphaTauri's been knocked off the racing line.
And that's Ultimate! And he's got front wing damage! He's lost an end plate!
And now I think I just saw the Mercedes go off. Yes, the Mercedes went off now as well. Now that's going to put him in the threat for the McLaren of Retro Racing, but Retro's trying to hold off Waddington as they go diving into the hairpin now. And Waddington is going to go and try and take it on the outside. He'll have the advantage of a longer line, a little bit more time. And now Williams just went around and took himself out, putting the power down coming out of the hairpin.
And all of a sudden, this race has just come to life!
Let's rewatch that. Let's go to the replay.
Oh god, I think I just gave myself a headache. That was too much.
All of a sudden, this race has just come to life. Staggering, absolutely staggering.
So what I'm really interested in is we see these two come around, and the Williams is he puts the power down. He was a little bit more on the inside. It's a little bit slicker there because not as many cars like to take that really tight inside line. But he took that tight inside line to try and keep the cars ahead of him off of his aerodynamics. But when he put the power down, it was a little bit too aggressive, and the rear end of the Williams whipped right around and nails him right into the inside wall. Now, he is going to be able to continue, but there's going to be significant damage to the front wing.
Beggars believe how he didn't end up ripping the suspension apart with that crash.
Well, it was a pretty nose-on hit, so the wing itself took most of the damage, and if it was real life, the drivers are moved far enough back now that the nose isn't as high-intensity extreme as it used to be back in the day when it comes to just limping a car back around on the circuit.
Indeed, and we've got, Ultimate, Cargo, and Zola have had to come in to get some new front wings and a fresh set of boots. But Zola, interestingly, on used mediums, interestingly.
Right now, I'm very interested in looking at the top four. Everyone in the top four are all within a second of the driver ahead of him. I mean, except for Beard Boost, because he is the one leading the pack right now. So they all have DRS on each other, but the gaps are all long enough that they're not going to be able to capitalize on that DRS to make dive bombs going into turn one. And then after what we saw happen early on between Path and Ultimate, making that dive bomb into turn one might not be the best idea. Ooh, look at that Ferrari nearly right into the back of the Renault there in the triangle. But you don't want to be too aggressive here because everyone else sees, hey, you don't have to run for points. It's all about ego on the line. the risk of crashing your car and looking like a noob compared to coming home second of the 20 best drivers in XRL, some guys might be reevaluating, okay, how far do we actually want to push for our ego?
Absolutely, and some of those drivers taking a bigger knock to their ego and their pride more than others. Waddington, a big beneficiary of all the mistakes, despite being in an incident of his own at the start of the race. He's now up into 8th place, a gain of 12 positions from the start, and he's almost within effectively DRS range of this mini train ahead of him of JBL, Joe Pelli, and Penku. Well, on lap 16, we're going to have 11 laps.
Smish has just left the session. He's rated in 14th, and that means that his AI will take over, and he'll potentially start hemorrhaging positions. More often than not, the AI is going to be significantly slower than the drivers around here. Something else to note, though, we may have a fight for a lead here because Ollie has caught Beard Boost, and he's going to be looking to the outside, neck and neck as they go in for a dive down to turn 1. Beard Boost is going to pull out of it, but then come back, and they make contact, waiting to rear there. But for now, it's going to be Ollie in the top position. Beard Boost is just not able to keep up with Ollie's pace, it seems, and he did not get a good run onto the front straightaway.
Penku, meanwhile, gets ahead of JBL into 5th place. Waddington still within DRS range of Joe Pelli, but he's going to have to wait another lap at least to be able to have a crack at him. Waddington is on hard tyres. Joe is on mediums. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw the mediums start to fade away towards the end of the race, and at that point the hard tyres should still have a bit of life left in them. Ultimate does have the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:28.405. He's the only man to get under 90 seconds so far. Yellow flags again, and if that's Ultimate, it is Ultimate again.
It is Ultimate.
Oh, it's all falling apart for him.
And now that car, he's finally got it going again, but yeah, everything seems to go well. It seems like that AlphaTauri is very well set up
he's gone
for
again.
speed.
He's gone again.
Well, that looked like it was a case that the tires may have been a little bit too hot, so he wasn't able to get proper traction. But I think in general that AlphaTauri is set up primarily for clean air speed, and now that he has to deal with some dirty traffic, I think it's compromising the aerodynamics of the car just a little bit, and he's losing time trying to make up ground that he willingly conceded to protect his season. Well, I think he willingly conceded to protect his season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if Ultimate and Path had a small chat after the race regarding that incident.
Well, of note, right now, Ollie has not pulled away very far from Beard Boost, and Sasha Andre is right there as well. So it can get very interesting here, because Sasha Andre may have a chance to go for Beard Boost. And now we're looking at McLaren nearly going off the circuit there in the early parts of the lap, though. He's back on, he was able to save it, but a little bit...
Yeah, Retro Rixie...
Excuse me.
That's right. Retro Rixie is on the top 10. Smish managed to get back into the session. It's not the first time we've seen this in XRL, that we've seen technical issues, and hopefully those issues are fixed for the new game. So we're anticipating it coming out at some point during the summer. And it'll be the first game under the under effectively the EA banner, but reports have been stating that Codemasters are still going to be somewhat independent from EA for this game, especially. It'll just be it'll be an independent studio under the EA banner, but it'd be really cool. I mean, dare I say, I'd love to see the EA Sports logo on an F1 game again. And Ultimate's gone. Oh, Ultimate's gone. Virtual safety car out. And that was through the S's and hang on. Was that supposed to happen? I think what happened there was Ollie was ahead in
I think Beard Boost was ahead. Let's watch the replay.
It looked like Beard Boost may have had the nose ahead, I can't tell.
Yeah, let's watch the replay right now. Beard Boost gets the position.
There's a yellow flag in a sector. That car is most definitely ahead. Beard Boost is ahead for now.
And there
still
goes the
ahead.
safety car.
Yeah, it looks like at the time of the virtual safety car, Beard Boost was ahead.
Yeah.
By only about a third of a car length, but he was ahead. Also, on the topic of EA letting Codemasters do their own, real quick, Caesar, can I speak very frankly, very
Yeah,
quickly
of course.
here?
Yeah, of course.
All right, to quote the late great James Hunt, bull beep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think part of that's down to the fact that people like Insane and myself especially know the history that EA have with ruining franchises.
I will say this though, EA has had the Formula One license before. For X3, I play the theme music that they used in the 2001 F1 game, because EA used to have the license for F1 racing games back in the early 2000s. It's been a while since then.
I do remember playing the F1 2000 game on the PC, and having Jim Rosenthal doing the introduction to each race. I say that was pretty cool how they managed that.
I'm going to say this right now. I think Beard Boost is going to be very, very upset with how this race is going, because more than likely we saw from the video he was supposed to be ahead under that virtual safety car, and now he has been, oh, and who's that? That's a Williams that's now off the circuit.
It's Cargo.
The S is a bad day
Cargo.
seeming to go worse for Cargo. As I was saying for Beard Boost knows that he should be the driver ahead, but the game messed up their scoring. He's behind right now. He's not going to be very happy with that going forward. I
know Cargo
guarantee it.
loses out of the Degners. Oh, that's dearie me. He's lost an end plate. He lost it out of the second Degner, but crucially, despite the end plate damage, he is okay. He's still able to keep going.
Of note for Cargo, one of your X3 title contenders, he had a respectable points lead coming into this race after his rival Retro Rixie had a horrible day at Sashi, and then Cargo ended up having a similar day there that he's having today, just no points whatsoever. This is not one of his stronger tracks. He was a little bit more stronger on the power-focused tracks rather than a flow-based circuit, so I think we're just seeing a slight repeat of those same mistakes earlier in the year.
Absolutely. Beard Boost, meanwhile, he is within DRS range of Ollie, but Ollie got a good run out of the last corner. I don't think Beard Boost is going to make any sort of impact here at the moment. He is going to keep within DRS range of Ollie for the next lap at least, but he'll be looking to try and get past ASAP.
Yeah, time is running out relatively quickly. I've been covering the Xrl races, which are full-length 100% races recently, so this race now feels like it's going by a little bit faster than I'm used to. And I think Beard Boost realizes, hey, it's crunch time, you need to go now, and you need to remake the overtake that you did earlier before the game took it away. So
Safety car's
I'm sure
out, safety car's out, Cargo's gone. Cargo lost it at the final corner, safety car is out. That's going to be... This...
Oh! Time
This
penalties.
safety car,
Late in the
this
events
is
as
going to
well.
be crucial.
Now here's the other thing though, DRS will not be enabled right away. There will be a lap or two without DRS, so Beard Boost just needs to keep behind Ollie. They're both on hard tires. They'll be fine when it comes to tire wear going to the end. The thing that Beard Boost has to worry about though is the driver is behind him. If everyone third on back decides to start jumping into the pit lane, throwing on softs and coming back out, we could be in a very, very bizarre scenario where our leaders are way slower than the rest of the field and everyone's bunched up together, especially on such a narrow track like Suzuka.
And also remember that Oli and Beard Boost have 8-second time penalties, and Sasha has only 3 seconds. So we can be seeing Sasha, Penko, or Hassel winning this race.
You make
Only
a fair
time will
point.
tell.
I wasn't
And oh,
paying
here we
attention
go.
to time penalties.
Here we go. Ollie's in, Beard Boost in, Sasha in. It's a domino effect. One comes in, everyone comes in. They're all going to be going for soft tires. Waddington, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That could be pivotal.
So
That
wait,
could
did
be
anyone
pivotal.
stay out?
JBL apparently, he's that's interesting. JBL, Danny, and Retro Rixie all electing to stay out. JBL leading the race.
And now here's the thing, so there are 3 cars who are going to be up front. They're all on moderately worn medium tires. Everyone else is going to be on fresh softs. No DRS right away, so drivers will have no choice. They have to make overtakes on the racetrack itself immediately if they want to catch up to the field. But if if they're not able to make those overtakes happen on the normal racing parts of the track, there's not going to be enough laps with DRS left for whoever comes out fourth to be able to catch the leader in time. It's just not going to happen. These drivers have no choice. They have to make these overtakes somewhere on the racetrack. Doesn't matter if it's in turn 1, on the restart, doesn't matter if it's in the S's, doesn't matter if it's in the hairpin. It needs to happen now. It is crunch time.
Indeed.
I am not sponsored by Nestle Crunch. I want to make that very clear. Xrl is not sponsored by Nestle Crunch. I was not trying to make a call out there.
But hey, look, well played on that, though. Very well played on that. It's, I think this is definitely going to be very interesting towards the end of the race. Now, the big question is, I think what happened, I'm trying to wrap my head around why JBL, Danny, and Retro Rixie, why they didn't come in to change their time.
It doesn't hurt to try. None of those 3 drivers were in the top 10 positions. They're fighting for ego right now. If they can say, coming out of this, let's just say that any of these still finish in the top 5 at the end of this race, they can say, hey, look, on worn tires versus everyone else on much, much quicker tires, and for Retro, he's an X3 guy, and almost everyone else here is X1, X2. Being able to say, hey, I was able to hold off a bunch of these guys in a sprint with worse tires than them, that's pretty keno, if I may use the 4chan terminology. That's pretty keno.
And this is interesting that you've got Zola. He's got a drive-through penalty for ignoring yellow flags, but what he's doing is he's unlapping himself. Now you don't. Of course, Codemaster's not very keen on drivers unlapping themselves under the safety car in the game, but surely you should be allowed to unlap yourself in the game, under the safety car especially.
It probably made things a little bit weird when the leaders came in. I've noticed that sometimes the game's penalty system kind of like freaks out whenever leaders come in to pit under a safety car if they're not right under the safety car, so that may be part of the issue there.
So we've got 5 laps to go. It's going to be like 4 or 3 laps to go. This is going to be a sprint to the finish. And as I often like to say, when it comes to this sort of thing, we've got a lot of guys with penalties: Penku, Joe Pelly, Lowe, Jackson, and Waddington. Crucially, with no penalties. It's grandstand finish time.
Last few laps.
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine at least one of those guys will get a penalty in these last few laps.
Yeah, because everyone's going to be trying to be aggressive on the overtaking.
Indeed. Zola is trying his best to try and catch up with the rest of the field. They're coming up towards Spoon. They're coming up through Spoon now. Zola really getting the hammer down to see if he can catch up with the rest of the field.
I think Zola's going to catch up to the back of the field anytime soon. Frankly, I'm not the game's AI, obviously, but I think the best option would be to get the race going now. Because if you're going to rate, because of the way Suzuka is laid out, and there are a lot of turning, kind of slower circuits, a lap under yellow is very comparable in time to a lap under green. Because of that, it will take a long time for the drivers at the very back of the field to catch up with only... We're going to be looking at a handful of laps to go when we finally do take the green, so I would say get them going green as soon as they can. But I will say this also, though, if they stay under yellow long enough, the DRS might be enabled right at the start as well, and that could make things a little bit more interesting in addition.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if the DRS does get enabled, but of course it does. We're on lap 24 right now. We get underway on lap 25. 2 lap. The DRS is going to be a
shootout.
Yeah, no DRS. The DRS is going to be right at the end of the race, but nobody's going to be able to take full advantage of it. They're just going to have to. It's going to be a case that if you want to overtake these guys, you're going to have to work for the overtakes.
And now I personally think that our current race leader, this may have turned out to be the best decision of his career to go ahead and stay out.
situation
Yes.
is too. Remember, Sasha is an aggressive driver. He has the soft compound compared to Retro with a hard compound. So he's going to be attacking Retro at the start, and we can see some jellos at the start of the restart.
Real quick, would you be willing to swap the detail to time penalties? Because I'm curious to see what it would take for Pinquo to be able to take the victory. Right now, he has no time penalties. Our leader, though, it looks like he has 5 seconds worth of time penalties. So he's
No,
I
leader
think
is
that
3
Ferrari's-
seconds.
Oh, it's 3 seconds. Okay. Well, so that Ferrari is going to have to make 2 or 3 overtakes, but he might be able to walk out of here with that victory if he can get by 1 or 2 of the drivers ahead of him coming to the green flag. Again, we're only going to be looking at 3 laps of racing here if we go green this lap. Which hopefully the game is smart enough to let us go this lap. There it is. Thank you.
Your predictions, guys. Penquo winning? Or who's going to win?
I think Pinquo can only win if he can get past 2 cars ahead of him. If he can't get past 2 cars ahead of him, I think this race is out of his hands and it will likely go to either Danny or JBL.
We'll wait and see how that plays out. But nevertheless, here we go. JBL bunching up the field. But could that be a detriment? Not quite. But Sasha does
Sasha!
right out the gate.
Retro's still there. Retro gave up, but there. Pinquo got by 1 of them also now. Everyone's round top of each other in the top positions. And look at that McLaren just went off. That was Retro.
Oh no! That is a real shame.
Sasha is way faster than the AlphaTauri ahead of him. He's trying to make an overtake happen in the S's. I don't know if that's going to happen. He's got the speed, he's got the pace, but is there enough racing line to make it happen? They're side by side, they're bunched up everywhere, and their leader is trying to get away as fast as he can right now. Here comes the Mercedes. He's way faster. He's going to try and make the move on the outside in the hairpin. He's got to complete the move before he gets to that point. Now Sasha has his sights set on 1 guy left. Pinquo is following the Mercedes right up there. The Ferrari quite literally could win this race based on cutback in times.
How pivotal is that gonna be?
I honestly thought the cars on the medium, on those more mediums, would be able to hold off the rest of the field just a little bit longer, but now there's only 1 driver left in the front who is not wearing fresh softs, and there's only going to be 2 laps to go at the line. They're coming into the triangle chicane right now. Look at it. That Mercedes has his rear wing all over his front wing all over the rear wing of the Renault, but the Renault got a better run coming out of the triangle. That's going to make that DRS borderline useless on the straight. The Mercedes is going to have to make this overtake on the racing line itself.
But of course, the key thing to take into account is the fact that we brought it up during the safety car. Penku has no penalties. On penalty countback, he is going to get the race win. Danny's starting to drop down the fields, but side by side with Warrington. Warrington's got to spin. He's collected the McLaren with them.
Now everything is going absolutely chaotic. However, that's going to be a yellow flag in Sector 1 only, so it's going to stay green for the lead battle right now. That Renault is still in front. Where's that Mercedes in comparison, though? He's right there, but he's not going to be able to make the overtake in the hairpin this time. He's still right under him. He needs that Renault to make a mistake. The next chance for that Renault to make a mistake on those worn tires with all that pressure is going to be coming up here in Spoon. High speed, 195-mile-an-hour corner, and look at that Renault. He dumped 2 tires into the grass. Now he's going to run extremely wide. He's trying so hard to keep that car under control. He nearly spins it, putting the power down. Here comes Mercedes, side by side for a lead, going down that second straightaway. They're going to be side by side as they come down to 130R. The Renault's going to have to pull out. The Renault's going to fall back in line. Here's your overtake for a lead, and the Renault is going to try and make a comeback on the outside going into the chicane, and looks at the front tires, not able to make it happen. He's going to fall into second position, and now that Mercedes is gone. Pinquo needs to get by that Renault ASAP, because if he can get by that Renault ASAP, he'll be able to take this race victory based on cutback when it comes to time penalties. He has the DRS, he's looking to the outside, but there's no room there. He needs to find some other way to get by the Renault coming down into the first corner now. The Renault steps
JBL goes wide! JBL goes wide! Clinton into second place! Zola, meanwhile, he got disqualified for ignoring the drive-through penalty, so Zola not going to be finishing the race.
This is it. Pinquo has no time penalty. The driver ahead of him has several seconds worth of time penalty. The gap between the two is less than a second right now. The Ferrari doesn't need to overtake him on the track. He just needs to keep that Mercedes in front of him. We're looking at a potential reversal of the fortunes of these teams back in 2019 at Montreal right now.
Oh my word! How cathartic is that going to be for the Tifosi?
Come on, bring that Ferrari home. Bring that Ferrari home, man. Come on.
That's exactly what the Tifosi are thinking right now.
Farther back, Ollie has rebounded back to third position right now, so he looks like he's going to get a podium spot out of this. Everyone else in the top 7 have penalties except for the Ferrari. The Ferrari doesn't care. He's coming up. He's going to try and make this overtake on the racing line itself. Going
What's
into the
that
chicane. It's the
overtake?
last corner overtake. Neck and neck. They're going to make a little bit of contact. The Mercedes is going to cross back over. The Ferrari is still right there. The Mercedes is going to be ahead, but the Ferrari is going to take home the victory here.
What a climax to the Japanese Grand Prix! What a climax! Absolutely brilliant! Penku takes the win on penalty count back. Ollie, third on the podium. Low, JBL, Beard Boost, Joe Pelly, Smish, Hazel, Jackson, Danny, Atwi. Let's see where Waddington filters in. Is he going to make any positions? No, he's not. Retro Rix is going to be the last to cross the line. What a climax!
What an end of the race.
Those are the moments you live for as a fan.
Absolutely outstanding job there. One of the Ferraris ended up getting disqualified extremely early in the race by the game, thinking that the car trying to get back on track was going the wrong way. But the other Ferrari was able to bring it home in the last laps by virtue of just being a cleaner and faster racer than most of the others and having a little bit of traffic being cleared ahead of him.
Oh my goodness me. I mean, where do we even begin with summing up that race?
We would begin on lap 1, where we saw that drag race going into turn 1 between a McLaren and I believe it was the AlphaTauri or Mercedes, I forgot who the other one was, but we saw that drag race. That's where the race really kind of began going crazy. But here in the broadcast booth with us, we have our race winner. Please go ahead, include your audio. Tell us what do you have to say about winning Xrl's All-Star race and staking claim to being the greatest driver in Xrl this year.
Are you there,
Can you hear me?
He appears like disconnected. Let us add. Okay.
Yeah.
On my screen, on my Xbox, it's saying that he's in, but he's not making any noise, so
Yeah.
I don't know what's up there.
Oh, he says no mic.
Right, there we go.
Okay.
Right, so let's quickly recap the race result. You got Penku winning, Sasha second, Ollie
Go
third,
ahead
Low
and type
fourth,
up whatever you have to say, and
JBL.
we'll read it out loud.
Beard Boost, Joe Pelly, Smish, Hazel, and Kellis Jackson. That's your top 10. Danny, Atwi, Waddington, Retro Rixie, and then your non-finishers, Cargo, Ultimate, Sack, and Path, and Zola and Waldo were disqualified.
Guys, huge heads up for Xrl Low getting P4. Xrl Low getting a very good result on the All-Star race. He did no mistakes. He got P4. Amazing drive for him.
Yeah, it was a great race for him all round. He started 12th, but Cold Masters felt generous enough to give Waddington driver of the day. Which reminds me, who would you guys give driver of the day to?
I do think our race winner, Pinko, is going to have to be it, considering that he wasn't really on the right end of the strategy call, but because of the leaders having to serve penalties when they came into pit lane, dropping them farther down the order, I think Pinkwell gets driver of the day by virtue of staying clean, staying fast, and staying smart. He said he's left the party, but he did say before he left real quickly in TextCat, great race, he had lots of fun. We had a lot of fun watching. I won't lie, I didn't focus on him most of the race. My focus was primarily on Beard Boost winning this race. I honestly thought that's what was going to happen. It was looking very likely until that last yellow flag came out.
I definitely give it to Penquo. He managed to get no time penalties. That's what got him the win. And I will give the second place in the driver of the day to It's Low for that fourth position. It's amazing.
Yeah. So there we go. That's the race over, and that I believe leaves us with only one item of business left to do, and that is the t-shirt giveaway.
Yep. Let me just do something here real quick. Let me get a random name picker. And let me put the names of the people that are going to be participating.
Alright, I see you over there printing out sheets of everything with just one name on it, repeated endlessly and cutting it out. No, I don't actually see that. I'm making a joke, people. We live in different countries. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
Tom. Can see. IPR. Snake.
Okay, so real quickly, while our event host is going through the t-shirt randomizer right now, real quick, Waldo, very, very glad to be able to work with you again. We worked together at Zandvoort for the X2 race this season. Absolutely fantastic time, and I've said multiple times, I really look forward to being able to work with you again. Doesn't usually work out considering that you do X1 and I do X3, and those races are at the same time, but I was very, very glad to be able to share the booth with you at least one more time. Hopefully it happens again more often, but thank you very much for having me on, both of you.
Yeah, absolute pleasure having you with us. But I mean, hats off to you for managing to dethrone me as the king of the XRL commentators.
I know that the people think otherwise, but I still think you're a little bit better put together. You've got that, I've said before, you've got that kind of like classic British flow and British analysis that is so perfect for Formula One, that helped bring Formula One to its massive stardom that it has today. Very well focused. You don't usually lose your focus when you have a point, so I personally still think that you're better than I am at, and I would still aspire to try and meet your level of quality.
That is very, very much appreciated. So yeah, I've said it numerous times, and I'll say it again. Sky Sports, where's my contract?
Okay, guys, we have all the names right now.
Here we go.
Jono, Waldo, Jeff John, Tom, IPR, Kenzie, Snake, Turbo, Torpedo, Edgar, Unarmed Drake, Vistian, Fiend, Kyle Maven, Xrl Sack, Ledger, King F1, Sasha, Retro, Carlos Jackson, John Whenever, and Hassel. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and we have 23 votes. I do not count. 22, so everything is ready. And let's see who is going to be the winner.
Fortune!
Let's see who is going to be the winner. And let's go. Of the XRL t-shirt, Hassel. XRL Hassel.
Final Fantasy VII fanfare there. Massive congratulations, Hazel. You have just won yourself a free XRL t-shirt.
Please, Hassel, contact me, Cesar Lopez, XRL Lopez, and send me your shipping details as well as your full name also. He was my teammate in X1 at my last part of the season.
Yeah.
So congratulations, man.
Yeah. So big congratulations there. So yeah, on that note, I believe that is it for this evening's XRL coverage. But rest assured, next week season 4 gets underway, and there's a lot to look forward to over the course of this week. We've got ARL on a Monday night. We've got the F2. We've got our F2 nights on a Wednesday at 6 p.m. UK time. 9 p.m. UK time is our Knockout Championship. XNA is at 9:30 Mexico time, and we've got PRL on a Thursday night. Then we have EFR, European Formula Racing, on a Friday night, plus our classic elimination event at 9 p.m. Dev League on a Saturday night, 5 p.m. And we've got the 100% race on the Saturday night as well, 8 p.m. UK time. And then February 28th, 1 week today, Season 4 gets underway at Silverstone. And me and Caesar are going to be there calling the action. In the meantime, that's all for us tonight. And we are looking forward to seeing you guys back here next week for the start of Season 4. But until then,
Kinsey Retro will be running the X1 event here on this channel, on the the alternate channel. I'll be covering X3, and then X2 will be done a little bit later on the same day, and that will be run with a different group of commentators.
And with that in mind, we will see you guys next week for the start of Season 4 at Silverstone. Thank you, and good night.
Good night, guys. Thank you very much.